Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Good morning, listeners. Carl Case, Head of Business Development at Referrizer, joined by a super special guest this morning, Hensley Ellefritz. Hensley, thanks for joining and welcome. Tell the whole world who you are and a little bit of your journey.
Well, I am honored, and I'm honored to be speaking with other small business owners who are rooted in health and wellness. So I'll start with just saying that I was one of those weird people that knew I wanted to be in this industry basically from when I came out of the womb. And obviously it's transformed in the last 30 years. There wasn't, right? Like it was basically, do you want to be an athlete or do you want to be a personal trainer? When I was going through college, and we can obviously say it's evolved tenfold since then. So the long and short of it is my goal, and really what powers me to wake up and move every morning, is transforming passion for what all of us do in health and wellness into an organic sales process. So without, going through A to Z, my entire evolution career-wise, it's really transformed from being the top salesperson of Equinox into how do I teach sales to an entire organization and implement that in a way that scales across Barre and Club Pilates and the exponential brands, to now how do I bring that and how do we bring that as Reboot to independent studio owners and now franchisors and chiropractors and physical therapists and really anyone rooted in health and wellness. Again, that is a scalable way that keeps business owners in front of their business and not in their business, but really creates a sales process that they know they can carry out full for eternity, right, without our involvement, and drives long-term profitability. So that's the long and short of my journey, so to speak. I can dive into the nuts and bolts, but that's my why.
Well, thank you and welcome again. I think that you definitely have a unique journey coming from big box, and I would say specialized big box. Equinox, for those of you that haven't been to Equinox or there's not one near your city, imagine the nicest LA Fitness or nicest gym and spa and salon all thrown into one building, similar to Lifetime, I would say, if that's a safe bet. So how do you go from college to big box gym to boutique fitness and now to what is your child, Reboot?
Yeah. I was a competitive athlete, and I think something that powered me from day one was choosing to do things before you're ready. And it's something that I empower my team to do today. Is one of my former employees, love you, Meg, she's out there, left on great terms, said, like, one of the best things I learned from you was that being ready is a choice. And the sooner you choose to do so, the more confident you become. And I remember my parents telling me that we were at like some food and wine festival or something like that. And there was some play structure, inflatable thing, who knows? And it was for ages 5 and up, and I was 2. And my parents were trying to barter with whoever the person was, like, can we just let her go? And they were like, sorry, it's 5 and up. And they were like, she's going to do it regardless. And I did. I don't know how I finagled my way up there, and I got to the top, and then I started crying because I couldn't get back down. But I think that kind of epitomizes my life journey to date, right? Like, I graduated from college. I knew I wanted to be, at that point, boutique fitness hadn't necessarily taken off. So Equinox was that hub because it was housing these essentially cycling studio, yoga studio, Pilates studio, all in one brick and mortar. So I graduated early and was told, hey, if you want to get into management, you need to start selling. And I was like, no one goes to college and like envisions selling gym memberships. Yeah. So I packed up my stuff, moved to the West Coast, and just started selling memberships and quickly became their top salesperson. And, one thing I learned from my parents specifically was jump before you're ready, right? And always look at what you've learned to now tap into a piece of your industry that hasn't yet been explored. And so that brought me to, spearheading sales at Pure Barre and then Club Pilates. And then over COVID, I think all of us had epiphanies, whether they were personal or professional or emotional. But mine was August 2020, looking out at our industry where 1 out of 3 studios was closing at the time. And I was steering the national sales pivot for 700 of these studios. And I felt like, this is not who needs me anymore. What if I were to bring this same data back, really hands-on guidance to independent studio owners? So I had no intent of starting a business. I literally just wanted to move back here. I'm based in Dallas now and consult for individual studios one-on-one. Fast forward a year and a half, we've worked with a little over 100 brands spanning over 2,000 locations, US, London, Canada. And as of now, 90% of our clients recoup their investment within the 12 weeks they work with us. So it really is not just giving you the tool book, but teaching you to drive and implement the sales process from start to finish. So we see ourselves really as almost a pseudo franchisor. Everything that a franchisor would provide a franchisee, from infrastructure guidance and I hate to say policing the product, but test driving that product and making sure what we can sell is valid, to building out a sales process, building out every single one of those automations, call, text, email, developing their marketing strategy, and really their long-term profitability structure. So yeah, we're a team of 7. We're based across the US, and that's Reboot. We've since moved into cryotherapy, recovery, like I said, physical therapy, chiropractic, but we really are rooted in boutique fitness. So that's us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for people trying to get a hold of you or that are interested, how do they find you?
You can just go to our website. So it's rebootfcfitnessconsulting.com. And then my email is just Hensley, HENSLEY @rebootfc.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Hensley.
Cool.
So me personally, and for those of you listening, I head up what today is Referrizer Agency. We support about 100 brands on their lead acquisition and then using our own software, Referrizer, to nurture that lead all the way through membership purchase, package purchase in the cryo space, and then nurturing that relationship into creating a true raving fan in the business, because there's nothing better than having a cheerleader that is your biggest word of mouth referral source, which is what every business should be after. And if you're not, get on it. But I think that it's interesting that even in my opinion, and I have clients that work with people that I want to say offer a similar service. I obviously haven't been hands-on with you to know what the similarities are, but they're fitness consultants working with brands on how do they optimize their processes and so on and so forth. What have you learned, or what could you tell people when it comes to picking a third party, whether that be their CRM, their agency, their automation tool, or anything in there? What are some tips and tricks that you have that teaches people to go with the right thing?
Loaded question. I have 3 facets that I recommend you explore before pursuing any partner, including us, including Referrizer. And I think the first is data speaks for itself, right? And I can hear my previous boss, Mike Gray, shout out, he's the president of Club Pilates now. I am admittedly impulsive. I'm very creative. And so I would come up with these ideas that I would want to roll out across an entire franchise system. And he would say, show me the data first. Show me like why this is going to work. And I'd be like, I just know it's going to work. And now as a business owner myself, it can be so emotional as a small business owner, and to feel like you're in the eye of the storm and making these decisions and not knowing or having anything to bounce off what works, what doesn't. except for data, except for the numbers. So with any partner, have them show you valid data that is specific to your market, specific to your wellness vertical, whether it's cryo or Pilates or yoga or whatever it might be. And then that brings me to my next piece. And it's something that we stand behind. We have paid $0 in marketing. And it's something that we're really proud of because, to your point, your clients should be your marketing. Your clients should be your biggest ambassadors and be championing you. And we require any client who wants to work with us to have at least 2 conversations with a previous client of ours. And we show them every client that we've worked with, they get to choose. And once they're onboarded, they know, okay, now you become part of this pool that if someone else wants to talk about your experience, because you're being sold a product in that demo or in that pitch or in that quote introductory, whatever they're calling it, they're trying to sell you on the product. And it's one thing to talk to the business owner and it's another to talk to those who have actually used the product beyond the social proof, beyond the online reviews. And then the third piece is considering the role you want to play in your business long term and making sure that partner supports that. So if you really love the social media piece, I haven't met a studio owner or a franchisor yet who's like, yes, I wake up every day and like love the Instagram algorithm and just seeing how much it's transformed in the last just 3 hours. But if you are one of those people, then you probably need someone who's going to really lean into the sales and operational process, right? Or you're going to need someone who's going to fine tune your instruction and the integrity of your product.
Yep.
So I think that's it. And then also, this is kind of a bonus one, but it's one that maybe I should have led with. Choosing the things that are fun is where all of us go, right? Like, I'm just going to invest in more social media, or I'm going to invest in more marketing. And it's very rarely a marketing issue. It's very frequently a sales and conversion issue.
Sure.
So again, looking at what's the true problem that you're trying to solve, what's your role in that process, and is the partner that you're bringing on board going to fit in solving that for you?
Thank you for that. An example that I can provide, we're going down the path with a fitness brand that has just shy of 100 locations that just got a very large investment to scale globally.
Yeah.
And here they are looking at Loyal Snap and Go High Level and Loud Rumor and everybody that we go up against on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And it's luckily, knock on wood, we won that opportunity by shining in one way, shape, and form. And that's that we're a global powerhouse empowering fitness and health and wellness brands to scale across the globe in today, what is 74 countries. And tomorrow, hopefully, will be 75 or 76. But having a partner that reaches your goals and helps you to get there and has experienced it, because that's why we hire consultants like you in the first place, is how do we crunch thousands of days, hours, time, experiences into a few minutes, because none of us have that time to pay an idiot tax or learn that lesson and whatever it may be. So I love that. And I personally, for those of you listening, call other clients, even if it's not offered like you are. We work with some of the biggest and upcoming brands in fitness. And when they're ready to make that decision, nobody wants to jump or think about how do you walk down the aisle with a software partner or with an agency partner or a service partner, or even the person that gives you your soap in your bathroom or cleans your floors or provides your signage, whatever it may be. You want to get in that relationship from the start and then be a great referral partner and so on and so forth. So what better way to do it than to ask for a referral internally? Hey, who are a couple clients that you've enjoyed working with? Or maybe they'll tell you who's their last client that left them and why.
Yeah.
Super valuable. Hensley, I asked this question to everybody. I think you'll have a little bit of a unique answer, but we are Local Business Hacks. That's the name of this podcast. And the purpose of it is we tell stories about things that we've learned that have taught you a lesson that you're consistently reteaching or consistently reminded of. Give me some juicy story that you're thinking of.
Oh, gosh. I think there's if you haven't gathered up until this point, I can be a little defiant. And I was in college. I would go, I'm originally from Silicon Valley. So I would drive from Dallas, where I went to school, to the West Coast every summer. And at this point, there weren't there wasn't the extent of GPS on your phone that you
MapQuest.
Yeah.
We are the MapQuest generation.
Right? Yes. So I had some Garmin GPS from probably the early 2000s that I was going to use to get back to the West Coast. But my dad, God bless him, had sent me paper maps, highlighted, here's where you're going to stop for the night, so forth. I'm also one of those people that like the empty sign on gas, that's like a suggestion, right? That's like, maybe start thinking about it in another 15 miles, but by no means is it a complete red light. And lo and behold, I get into West Texas, I run out of gas. I'm not on the map that my dad definitely spent hours developing for me. And I put my head on the steering wheel. It's like 110 degrees. And I just started crying. So I was like, don't have phone service. I don't have gas. And I picked my head up off the wheel and I'm surrounded by cows on all sides. And I started screaming. And by some act of God, I called my dad and he was at a conference and he just picks up the phone and he goes, "You didn't follow the directions, did you?" And I was like, "No, and I don't have gas." And again, he's a saint. He somehow found me a gas station, whatever it might be. But I think there's, to steal a quote of one of our clients, he's the CEO of Metabolic, everything that we teach has been, it's not something I came up with, right? It was proven out by some brand, and it's kind of the accumulation of all of the data that we've pulled and brought together. And he said, everything that you guys taught us and helped us implement was something that we were going to have to do through trial and error. Anyways, it was going to take us 12, 13 months. You just expedited the timeline and made it 3 months instead. And so I think back to that and I'm like, instead of it taking a 3-day trip and driving back and forth through Texas 4 times, like if I had just followed the process, perhaps it would have expedited and gotten me there that much sooner. And listen, our time is our most finite resource. And if we can save people time, then they can invest that time into why they really pursued their business. So I would say we're recommending, and things exist, processes exist, systems exist for a reason. At the end of the day, you know your business better than anyone else. And it's kind of up to you to determine, like, great for you, not for me. But we always say trust it for 90 days. And then if after that you decide to completely deter from it, great. You at least have had that mirror held up to you and can make that decision in good faith.
Yes, we know our business. I know my business better than you, and you know your business better than me. However, at a whole, do we really? And the reason that I say that is, let's say I'm an Orange Theory franchisee here in Boca Raton, Florida, whether they're headquartered here or not. I have a myriad of agencies that I could work with or software partners. And when I make that decision of who I go with, it's typically based off of those around me and those opinions around me. When we say that we know our business best, it's true. However, do we know the growth opportunities and the potential the best? And my answer is no. And the reason for that is that the average franchisee doesn't have you or me around that is able to pull data across, let's say it's an F45 in Hawaii. Shout out to you, Zach, if you're listening to this, F45 Pearl Ridge. But, Zach oversees 65 F45 studios. And the reason that he is a powerhouse franchisee is because he has the data of 65 studios across the US. And he works with Referrizer, who leverages the data of fitness brands nearby him to make educated decisions based on data. It's accessible, and it's accessible through people like you and like us who have access to it, because you don't know what offer is going to be successful in what market. And I've seen F45 run a 7-day for $7 campaign brand wide, and it flops in most markets because trials are never going to make you money.
Yes, correct.
But raving fan members are, and unfortunately, most people get in the door through a trial, but when they do and they're sold on a discounted service, are they really there for the right reason? And if not, go advertise on Groupon and open your business and thrive for a couple years and then close your doors, but that's not why we're in this. So make data-driven decisions, partner with people that can provide that data, and not just for your brand, but your consumer and that persona that you develop for your consumer. Because if you do go to one of the gyms that you oversee and then you need recovery and you're going to a stretch zone or a restore hyper wellness or whatever it may be, it's gotta be data-driven decisions.
Yeah. And I don't want to misconstrue that to mean that to your client, you're leading with data. And I think that's where, as we've migrated into the recovery space, where honestly, they're operating in a way where that boutique fitness was 10 years ago, very much like, if we build it, they will come, and let's just throw more marketing in and let's just get more people through the doors. And it's become kind of the Cheesecake Factory menu of just like, we'll throw it on the wall and see what sticks. But right. And there's tendency to want to lead with that data, right? Of like, salt therapy will do XYZ and this percentage down and this percentage up and so forth. But your consumer doesn't care about that. They don't care about the what, they care about the why. And your brand strategy is not the same as your marketing strategy. And you don't get to graduate to marketing until you've really fine-tuned that brand strategy. And I think that's where, especially in fitness, as we've become as saturated as we have been, we can no longer operate in that space of like, you'll lose weight, you'll tone up, you'll be transformed, you'll get stronger. You can do that at home with a free YouTube workout, right? There has to be an emotional pull and there has to be a story. Stories are 22 times more memorable than facts for a reason, that's pulling people through those doors. So if your knee-jerk reaction is to just throw data out there as a way to market, you don't earn that right until they walk through the door. And that's when you can kind of lay on the facts, is the stance that we take.
Of course. And cryotherapy is a great example for that. We work with Restore Hyper Wellness nationwide across their hundreds of locations as their referral marketing software. And we work with a majority of them on the agency side. And cryotherapy, for those of you that are listening that offer cryotherapy as a modality, not cryoskin, but whole body cryo, what other service can you offer to a client that costs you under $20 as a business that can drive results to a customer in under 5 minutes? And that's why I personally love cryotherapy, because if somebody is looking to increase their metabolism, reduce their inflammation, feel better overall, they can come experience your business in under 5 minutes for under $50. And then you build that rapport and that trust and drove results to that client, where they're way more excited to hear about the other things that you offer in your business. So thinking about services, offers, and incentives that drive those results, not necessarily on your high ticket items, because no one wants to spend $4,000 on an NAD IV drip when they've never been given an IV drip, but they'll go spend $100 on a bag of some fluid and glutathione to feel better. That it's just structure your offer accordingly to what you're trying to accomplish, which should be to have a member or a large package purchase or things like that. So we're on the same page.
Yeah. And then getting those members to serve as not just marketing, but like commemorate their successes, right? And I think so often we're looking for these kind of hero's journey transformations, and it can be as small as, my mom is an avid Club Pilates, goes 1, sometimes 2 times a day. And she can do things like walk for 10 miles or put her luggage above in the compartment, like the baggage compartment, things that she wasn't able to do prior. And if we don't slow down and have those conversations with our clients, not just as consumers, but as people, as 360-degree individuals, of how their quality of life is changing through our product, then we're not really selling, and we're not really set to scale long term, right? But those, and I know that's what Referrizer does so well, is encapsulating those into stories that we can use to market the product. But you as a business owner have a story, but it's also your responsibility and your team's responsibilities to capture the stories of how your product or your service is transforming your clients' lives as well.
Of course, and no two consumers are alike, and you should never be, offering the same journey or the same offer or the same incentives to the same consumer, because everyone's different. Although they might share a common goal, It's totally unique per
Yeah.
individual. That's awesome. Hensley, I can't believe that it's already been a half hour. I appreciate you joining. And for those of you that are trying to get into the fitness or wellness space and are looking for direction, reach out to Hensley. She's got your back, and the whole team over there does. And I appreciate you joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.